will join along the way. Let's do quick introductions and say hi to my co-host, Aishwary from Polygon. Hey man, how's it going?
Going good. How about
I'm
you?
all right, thank you. All right, let me explain how these spaces are gonna go real quick. Basically, we'll do, as I said, quick introductions. Then I've got some prepared questions, and after that, we'll do a live Q&A session if there will be any questions. All right, so if that's okay with you?
Yeah, sure,
All right,
please.
cool. All right, so yeah, my name is Elijah. I'm community lead at NOWPayments. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself? What do you do at Polygon, etc.? Usual stuff.
Absolutely. Sure. So thank you for having me here. So basically, if I talk about my work here, so I handle two roles. One is basically DeFi Chief of Staff, which means helping the DeFi team to actually get all the requirements and everything, helping them with getting more protocols on Polygon. And the second one that I've been recently looking out is all the payments and the fintech integration that are happening with Polygon. So like currently, we have more than like 152 countries where you can actually on ramp thanks to protocols like you. So that is something that I'm like right now taking care of.
Got it. Cool. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that payment integration systems that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are trying to do is basically we are enabling or we are going out and ensuring that the payment rails that are being built. So Polygon. So there are multiple things to it. The first one is basically that there is enough actual requirement, or there's enough actual ways in which actually people can build in. So how you look at blockchains today is, in order for more people to actually come into the ecosystem, you need them to connect in a way where they can actually go out and connect to multiple ways through multiple ways into that ecosystem. So that could be like some of the banks, fintechs, or payment aggregators, payment on ramp, off ramps, which can actually let you go and convert your fiat directly into something which is on the Polygon chain. So that is step one. Then step two is basically having multiple stable coins on the ecosystem. So if you look at stable coins, one of the biggest things about stable coin is like a lot of people and today, like if you see the total valuation of stable coins, like just 1 month back, like yes, removing the SVV debacle which is happening, so you see like almost more than $100 billion on DeFi are stable coins. So that's where like we're trying to go out and capture as many stable coins. We're working with almost stable coins from almost all the major countries across the world wherever it's required. So that is the second thing. And the third is then like building the use cases on the ecosystem where you can actually go out and deploy these tokens or this money that you have. So that is where you have the Polygon DeFi ecosystem which is there. So that's like I think the basic three-way stream that I'm working on.
Got it. Cool. That sounds great. All right. I've got some prepared topics, and those are actually quite broad. Yeah. So if we could go with those. All right. So the first one, the 2022 was quite chaotic. No one's going to lie about that. So I was wondering, how did Polygon manage to go through it? Like amidst all this crypto chaos, how did it manage to go through it like without basically any hiccups?
I think I won't say like we don't have hiccups, but yeah, definitely one of the best things that we have been doing is we've been heads down building the ecosystem, and we have been like what we are trying to go out is we're trying to bring in the mass adoption that is required. So if you look at multiple use cases, if you look at various companies coming out and collaborating with Polygon, so that is where what we are working on. So we have been working on like ensuring that all the companies go out and have a utility, or they see a lot of utility on this ecosystem, which is basically like if you're building, let's say, a royalty system or a loyalty system on Polygon, what exactly is your reason to build? Is it just like to get some of the hype, or is it more towards you actually getting out and creating some utility or new ways for you to actually go out and create revenue sources? So that's where we have been working on. We have been going out and we have been talking to multiple platforms, multiple companies out there in the web too, like Starbucks or any something like that. And like what we're trying to do out go out and do is create real time utility, so that actually you have a lot of more people getting on chain for the use cases they actually want to see, and not what like basically are there already. And that has been one of the major things that we have been doing to ensure that more and more people are coming into the ecosystem. So that's what we have been focusing on. We've brought in a lot of partnerships. Some of them are already live, some of them are in the process of going live. And that's where like we are like we're going out. And another thing that we have been how the whole ecosystem is advancing and what are the various solutions out there. So one of the things that we need to understand is, and which is something from a blockchain perspective is somewhat different, is basically where you can go out and see something like when you go and pitch something to a particular company, you cannot go out and have a same infrastructure and be like, hey, listen, this is an infrastructure that we've built, now you have to come in and build your solution on it. So that is one of the biggest problems, like with a lot of blockchain companies, that they've built a single infrastructure and they're going out and pitching the same infrastructure to everyone. However, as per the business needs, one of the biggest challenge that comes out is whatever your solution might be, might not be exactly the requirement for the company that you're pitching to. And that's where also like Polygon goes out and helps. Why? Because on Polygon, you are actually going out and having multiple suite of solutions. So actually the people can go out and choose those solutions that you can actually go out and build based on the requirements that you have, instead of like actually getting into something where those requirements might not be there. So like for example, if you are something who are trying to build on a public chain, you have POS chain, and then there's zkEVM that is coming later this month. The second thing would be like app specific chains, where you are basically going out and saying that supernets, like which is like an which is basically where you're giving the power to someone to build their own application chains and then run it across. And then like so that is where like we are also getting a lot of success, because we have solutions which can be fitted into the use case of everyone based on the various solutions that we have.
Got it. That's great. What's the status like on your talks with Starbucks? When will I be able to buy coffee with Polygon Network?
Yeah. So like basically like not sure like what exactly the conversation but would be, but majorly the conversation would be around the utility. Like today, if you go out and use, so let me give you that. Like if you have put in the Starbucks, so if you look at Starbucks, basically loyalty program, and let's talk about general loyalty in general. And when you're looking at like the biggest things or the biggest problems that we have today when we're talking about loyalty rewards and all these things is basically like on an average the customer acquisition cost of loyalty programs in web 2 are going up, and the the return on the investments are going low. Then the second biggest problem is like because of these same mundane ways in which you engage in these programs, the loyalty engagement of the audience has reduced by almost 20%. And on an average, when you look at any individual, they are subscribed to more than 30, you can say, loyalty programs, while they're only active in just 4 or 5 of them. And then also like you're giving out free products, and and because like the ecosystem, like even Starbucks, or if you look at any big MNC, they have multiple companies across the world, and their infrastructure is not connected to each other. So now what is happening in one Starbucks, that if someone wants to go out in another Starbucks company and wants to assess what was there, the biggest problem that comes there is how do you actually go out and assess, because these are now two separate legal entities. And then the last one is basically, then how do you collaborate? So collaborating, again, it becomes like a technological challenge, because let's say you want to collaborate with another company which is working on a completely different set of technological tools. So all these things become like challenges. So this is something what we put forward to a company who wants to build a loyalty program. This is, or is running a loyalty program. This is one of the biggest problems that you have today. Now if you want to solve this, how you can do it is you can actually go on chain and actually do that. Why? Because there are better ways in which you can actually go out and engage. Then all the infrastructure is something which is publicly hosted. So Polygon POS is publicly hosted. So your infrastructure cost is going low. Then if you are wanting to collaborate with someone who's already on POS, then basically your cost of collaboration goes super low. And if everything is on chain, you can actually go out and understand the engagement metrics, which is working, which is not working. And then there are ways in which instead of you giving out the goodies everywhere, which is like cost, you can actually go out and give ownerships and everything like that. So that is basically where you can go out and see like this is the advantage when you go out on a blockchain and deploy that kind of a solution, the same solution or maybe a modified one on chain, and get benefited from there.
Got it. That's actually sounds super cool because I was always wondering, like, when I'm traveling, whether or not I can use my Starbucks points from one country in another, and I can't. Yeah, and that sounds cool. Yeah. All right. Since you already mentioned zkEVM, I had a question, like a general question. What is it, and why is it a big deal?
So zkEVM. So if you look at the way in which what is zkEVM, or let's talk about what is zero knowledge. That is ZNK. So if you look about around zkEVM, one of the biggest things that you need to learn about zkEVM is that zkEVM is something like, or zero knowledge is something. What is zero knowledge? So let's talk about it in a very simplistic format. So let's say I and you were standing outside a cave, and that's called the cave door analogy. Now, if we both are standing outside a cave, and let's say inside a cave there's a door, and this door is something which is locked, right? And let's say I tell you, hey, you know what? I know the password of this. So there are two ways in which I can make you believe that I know the password. The first one is I take you along with me inside that cave, unlock the door in front of you, thereby making you believe that this is the password of that particular thing, right? So that is one big, that is the first thing where you are actually going out and telling people. So this is how the current public chains work. You're actually going out and putting all that data on chain, and when you're putting all the data on chain, this is where like people are able to verify, okay, this is the transaction that has been done, right? So that is something which is the first thing. Then the second thing is like if you talk about the second way is basically I make you stand outside the gate, I go inside the gate, unlock the door, and come from the other side. Now in the second case, I've not told you the password, right? But I've made you believe that I know the password because when I went in, the door was locked, I unlocked the door and came out from the other side. So that is what zero knowledge is. And this is like when once you know that if you have to bring in more adoption, if you have to bring in more use cases and more corporations or more use cases to be built on public chains, you need to ensure a kind of privacy being given to various users. Think about very simple one simple use case. Let's say today JP Morgan and let's say some other banks actually come on chain, and they start like let's say they're taking trades on multiple other currencies. Let's say JPM Singapore goes out and takes a trade on US dollar on a public chain, right? Let's say they build up a $1 billion position on longing US dollar, for example. Now, when they're going out and doing that, what happens on a public chain is everyone is able to see that. Now, if everyone is able to actually go out and see that, what will happen is there are two things that can happen. Maybe I don't know it's a JP Morgan account, but I know there's a person, there's an entity who is highly bullish on US dollar. So there are two reasons for this. Either they are like they have some kind of very secret knowledge about something based on which they'll make the money. So the moment everyone actually goes out and sees that on chain, they probably can do two things. The first thing is basically they can go and bet against it. So everyone going out and just wanting to liquidate this particular entity because they're building a huge kind of position there. So that's again something which is disadvantageous to JP Morgan now. The other way is basically you're asking or you're going out and you're building similar positions. Now, if you start building, taking longs and hedging those positions for multiple other volumes, what will happen is the total profit that JP Morgan could have made had this like trade been a secret till the maturity is something which is gone. So that's why you cannot actually, even if you want to go out and do these things on a public chain, you would never want to do it because anyway you run the risk of diluting your profits either way. So that is where you see that there's a huge amount of use cases that needs to be created and that needs to be built out, which zkEVM can actually go out and do. And another great thing about zkEVM is the way it calculates cost. So if you look at zkEVM, one of the biggest things around cost is So let's say if you look at Polygon POS, the gas fees is dependent upon like the block space availability. If the block space availability is low, you actually go out and pay high fee and something like that. With zkEVM is the opposite, because now zkEVM processes transactions in batches. So what happens is, like, the bigger the batch, the lower is your cost. So think about it, like I am going out and I'm going to run my washing machine. Now, if in the washing machine there are two clothes, it will consume the same amount of electricity versus if I put 15 cloths in that washing machine and run it. Now, in that case, what happens is now the cost spent in washing every cloth in 15, when I've put 15 cloths, becomes lower as compared to the other one. So that's another advantage when you look at zkEVM, because you're processing it in batches, right? So that's another you can say use case where you can actually go out and be happy about it and say like, hey, listen, this is something where we are going to have something like a way in which you'll have even cheaper transactions. So a privacy enabled layer which is giving you even cheaper transactions. So that's why it's a big deal.
Got it. Having like a process and transactions in batches, does that affect time, like transactions per second, and how long it takes to confirm the transaction?
It actually doesn't, because like we have been testing it, and right now I think we have already like been around the speed of Polygon POS, which is right now at what speed it is working. So technically no. So and as it scales, I think the speed will be better.
That's amazing. If that's how if that's how it's going to be, that's amazing. Yeah. All right. Besides zkEVM, what other plans and goals does Polygon have for 2023?
I think in 2023 we are planning for Polygon zkEVM, and along with that Polygon supernets also. The Polygon supernets is something which has been like dramatically or drastically upgraded, and based on the upgrades that are there, soon we will also be launching this Polygon supernets upgraded version. And why this is important is because a lot of people, like for example, I'll talk about NOWPayments here. So NOWPayments has a total like user base of something around 55 million users. Now 55 million users, and they want to go out and they want to launch everything in a compliant manner as well. So now supernets is something which basically goes out and plugs in here. And so they're building multiple atom country like companies are actually building on Polygon supernets because of the user base that they have. And now because of this, what is happening is, like with supernets, one of the best advantages is that you can do everything which you can do on Polygon POS, but in a compliant way, where you can have the visibility, you can have the way in which you can see the transaction moving, you can allow people to actually go out and set the gas fees as well. So on Polygon supernets, the gas fees doesn't work like block space. So how they work is basically in a complete different way, where you can set up what the gas fee should be. It could be in your own token, it could be in any other token, maybe your own token or something like that. And the gas fees is something which you decide. So you can set the gas fees as technically zero, like if you're so confident that your users will not bombard you fake transactions. So you can definitely go out and do that as well. So that is something where you can actually go out and have your own token utility getting created, because now your token is getting used as a gas fees. Then the second thing is also like you do not have to worry about high gas fees and shared space, because all the blocks are going to use the transactions that you're putting out. So all these things I think are another like something which is basically some of the best use cases out there. And the last one is Polygon Miden, which is still in development, where we're trying to reduce the cost of transactions and making them even faster by bringing some of the computational power which is being used today in on the POS space or on the blockchain space in data, storing the data. So that's another thing, but it's in the building. It will still take some time, so maybe we'll talk about it once it is like near completion.
That sounds impressive. Like you guys are working. All right. What part do you think Polygon plays or will play in the adoption of crypto?
I think if you look at the adoption cycle, like a lot of user base is being brought onto Polygon through a lot of Web2 companies, like having partnership with Meta, or you can, if you look at Reddit NFTs and everything. So overnight, we brought in, like, because Reddit NFTs were deployed in Polygon, so we brought in somewhere around 1.5 million new user base to Polygon. And now they, because their NFT certainly has a value, so now they understand what NFTs are. They can trade it, they can sell it, buy it on OpenSea and everything like that. So I think we are playing a major role in this adoption. If you look at the areas where there's a huge requirement for people to actually go out and get banked from the unbanked state area, there also we are bringing in a lot of such use cases, because Latam is one. We're also working with multiple parties in Africa also now, where basically a lot of people are unbanked or underbanked, to bring in the, like, real use cases for them. So that's where I think we are bringing the real adoption.
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot of places in the world, it turns out, like where people have to go bankless, or either they want to or need to. Yeah. To follow up on this, what's your take on the state of the on the market for crypto payments in general?
I think with all the three crypto banks which were friendly to crypto going down, we'll see like a kind of a short term problem, where, like, because of these banks who are processing and moving a lot of money on blockchains and everything like that, this will become an issue, I think, for the shorter run. But long run, I'm seeing a lot of crypto payment products being built out. And like, overall, if you look at the payment space, this is something where I feel it's highly, like, bullish, because cross border payments and remittances is still a very big issue. Like, if you just, I'll take an example again. If you look at India Latam, like cross border remittance corridor, the average cost of moving funds is somewhere around 8%, which is a huge cost. Where, if you look at it from a perspective of anyone, retailer has to pay maybe 8% more, or manufacturer is being underpaid because a large portion of that is being used up by these banks and intermediaries to move funds. Now, with blockchain, this is something where you can actually go out and reduce this cost to a significant bit. And that is where you have to, like, that is where we have to understand and see, like, this is a huge use case that is there, and this is just one. So there are multiple ways in which we still need to solve that. So definitely on the payment side, I see a lot of things to still emerge in the market.
Have you ever like had to use crypto or Polygon in like in real life yourself?
Sorry, can you come again?
Yeah, sure. Have you ever had to use cryptocurrency or Polygon in real life use case yourself?
Yeah, I've used, like, it in multiple places. Like, there are a lot of use cases that are being built on Polygon, which are real life use cases. For instance, like tokenization of bonds. Then there are like ESG platforms where you are tokenizing carbon credits and enabling people to trade it freely without, like, creating a hoarded market. Then you are also having, like, ways in which you're actually going out and issuing Airbnb properties as NFT, so people can actually go and buy them. So multiple of these use cases are there, which are there. A lot of government certificates are being issued on Polygon. There are actually caste certificates. There are also, like, driving licenses being issued on Polygon. So a lot of these use cases, the real life use cases, are there. You can actually use your, like, a lot of, through merchant payments and applications, you can actually go out and make payments for multiple things. Like, I recently booked one of my hotels on Polygon with crypto. So definitely there are a lot of use cases where people are actually using it in real time today.
Got it. And which country issues driver license Polygon? I'd like to have mine issued on Polygon.
I mean, like, geographically, we do not have any such data, like, which can tell, okay, this is the country which is driving innovation or adoption. And so, particularly, I won't be able to comment on that.
Okay, got it. All right, I'll look it up. All right, I've got the last question from me, and I hope we will have some questions from the live audience as well. what's your take on the state of NFTs this year, and what comes next after its boom?
I think real life NFTs are gaining traction. Like for example, I hold an NFT called Zossel NFT. Now that was something that I bought for somewhere around $250 like last year, and the benefit of that NFT could be like basically they help me in getting all my trips planned. So any place I want to visit, travel, and everything, I just have to tell them that hey, this is the place I want to travel, and they have a 24/7 desk which will go out and they'll ask me what kind of places you want to visit and everything like that. They'll go out and they'll give me a very good rate which is not available on the internet for booking those places, get setting all the experiences and everything, and they don't charge anything for this. So that's like those kinds of NFTs, or you hold particular NFTs to get discounts or entry to some places or something like that. So I think those kinds of NFTs are actually getting a lot of traction soon, and that is where I'm looking in the NFT space more.
Got it. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Shall we move on for the live questions? I hope we
Sure.
have. Hope we have some. All right. Everyone who listens, you can raise your hand or request to be a speaker, and we'll add you. Hi, Graham. How's it going? You can speak now.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Good morning. GM.
GM.
JM.
I guess if I had any question right now, what do you think the collapsing of the American bank economy is going to do to this space in the next 5 years? Is it going to be? Is it? Well, what do you think about that?
I think it's a bullish thing. Why? Because like now people are realizing that even putting your money in a bank is not something that is safe, where you feel like okay, this is something which is safe, but that is not. So and overall, like it is a very bullish signal for crypto because we anyway are like big rooters towards everything being transparent and on chain, so that later on we don't have to realize like if you look at. Uh, the same thing SVB, you'll see that the results and everything were brought into public after all the discussions happened. While if you see the way USDC behaved, everything was on chain, everything was something that we could monitor, the DPEG, the everything, getting more of these people swapping and everything. So that is where I think it's a bullish thing for crypto if more of these banks fail.
Do you think it's somehow shakens the trust of users for stable coins?
Sorry.
Do you think it somehow shakens the trust of people for
I
stable
don't think
coins?
because USDC or Circle was not to be blamed for this. Like Circle was having a banking partner that did not work out. It's not the fault of Circle. I don't think it's a bearish case for like Circle to be honest here.
And then, so if I had another question, as far as because all these banking people that have been making all these decisions and failing, we're all doxxed. Our politicians in America, who were still having issues in America with people starving and things and living issues and all that, they're all doxxed, and they're all, our all of our people that we vote in are all doxxed. So, what do you think that says about doxxed versus undoxed, or just versus reputation?
I think so. It's something which is like I would say something where you can actually put it on the people, like whether they want to actually go out and whether they want to be seen as someone who is there or something like that. I don't think like that is something which is like a person like someone else's decision, and that's why like if you look at some of the solutions that we are building like Polygon ID, it gives you a way in which you can remain someone in the shadows, but in a way you are still KYC. So I think that's personally one of the ways in which these people can actually go out and be there in that particular segment. It's not it's not a choice that we should make, but a choice that let be made by those people.
All right, thank you so much for your questions, Graham. That was insightful. Anyone else got something?
I think we can sum up.
What is it?
I think we can sum up. There's no other question, I feel.
Seems to be so, yeah. Would you like to sum up?
I think if you look at the whole economy, I am still bullish. There is no problem where I feel, okay, this is something where we are going down or something like that. So I think we need to ensure that the innovation goes on, and that's pretty much it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like we need to keep building, and if the project is as good as the Polygon, you see that it can go even through the 2022 almost without any hiccups. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I guess thank you so much for your time. There's been plenty of insights to take from this space, and just want to remind you and everyone that this space is being recorded. So we'll share some of it later, like in fragments and in full as well. All right, thank you so much, Aishwary, for your time.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye everyone.